So last time we left off, Abraham dies, but not before getting his 40-year-old virgin son Isaac a wife named Rebecca. Some time passes, and Isaac and Rebecca have two children who come out of the womb together. The first one to come out is a hairy ginger baby named Esau, and the other one comes out holding his brother's heel, and his name is Jacob, which means liar and deceiver. Time passes, and when the two children grow up, they are complete and total opposites. Esau is a total Chad who has two wives and is a hunter. And he's also full of testosterone and described as very hairy, while Jacob is a smooth man who stays at home and helps out his mama. One day, after having a long hunting trip, Esau comes to Jacob demanding for food, but Jacob uses this opportunity to cheat his brother, saying, "Sure, bro, I'll give you this food if you sell me your birthright." Now, for some clarification, the birthright is an important thing in biblical culture. It belongs to the eldest brother who will inherit everything from his father. But not just that, he would also inherit the blessings from God as well. So Jacob wants Esau to give him his birthright, and Esau is just so hungry at this point. He's like, whatever, just give me my food. And Jacob's just like, okay. And bam, Jacob now has his eldest brother's birthright. So some more time passes, and Isaac is like super old. He's blind and probably near deaf too. So he just wants to bless his son Esau and pass everything on to him before, he dies. So he tells Esau to go out hunting so that they can eat, and he can give him his blessing. So as Esau leaves to do all that, Rebecca, his wife, catches wind of all that and tells Jacob that they are going to cheat Esau out of his blessing and give it to Jacob. Jacob's all like, but how are we going to fool my dad? Sure, he's blind, but Esau is hairy and I am smooth. His mom tells him not to worry, and then she attaches a bunch of animal skin to Jacob. So when Isaac tries to feel him, he'll be as hairy as his brother. So Jacob walks in with the food and is all like, "Hey dad, it's me, Esau, back at it again with another home-cooked meal. I, Esau, your firstborn and true son, made for you." And Isaac just feels Jacob and is fooled by his animal skin. And is all like, "Hey, that's weird. You have the voice of Jacob, but you feel like Esau. So that means you must be Esau. Alright, son, let's eat so I can give you your blessing." And so Jacob receives Esau's blessing and books it out of there immediately. Esau returns, but finds out that his father has given his blessing onto his brother, and then he vows to murder Jacob as soon as Isaac has died. Rebecca catches wind of all this and sends Jacob away, so, he's not obviously shanked to death. And Jacob goes where Rebecca's family is to find a wife and to carry on the family line. So during his journey away from home, Jacob stops and sleeps. And during his slumber, he has a dream of a stairway to heaven. No, not the song! But anyways, he sees angels going up and down on the stairway. He then sees God standing on top of the stairway, and God promises him that he'll return to his homeland and that he will be with Jacob forever. And so Jacob wakes up super mesmerized by this experience and names that place he just had the dream at Bethel. So after a while, Jacob finally gets to the place where he needs to go. He hangs out by a well with a bunch of shepherd guys until a super hot chick comes out of nowhere to water her dad's sheep. Jacob is so awed by her hotness that the first thing he does is run up to her and then he kisses her. Then he cries because she is so beautiful. And then he asks what's her name. I'm not joking, that happens. And then she informs him that her name is Rachel and she is the daughter of Laban, who is a relative to his mother Rebecca. So Jacob is super happy and goes with her to see Laban. And so Jacob really wants to marry Rachel because she's really that hot. And so he tells Laban to give her hand in marriage to him. And so Laban's all like, okay, you can marry my daughter if you want, but you have to work for me for 7 years. I don't know what accent that is, I'm so sorry. So Jacob agrees and works for 7 years just for Rachel. And then finally, when that work is all done, Jacob walks up to Laban and is all like, "Alright, homie, hand her over now." And then Laban's just like agrees. And then Jacob marries Laban's daughter. The next morning when Jacob wakes up, he does not find Rachel next to him, but her ugly older sister named Leah. And so, yeah, he just got bamboozled. So Jacob is like super triggered and he confronts Laban. He's like, "You bamboozled me, you fiend." And Jacob's like, no. And Laban's all like, "Oh yes, I forgot to mention, our custom here is that our eldest daughter has to marry before the youngest. So if you still want to marry Rachel, you're gonna have to work for me for another 7 years." While he twirls his mustache. So Jacob then works another 7 years, and then bam, he finally marries Rachel. So Jacob starts having a bunch of kids with his wives. He has 12 kids in total. And then he starts not liking Laban, probably because he fooled him twice and made him work for him for like 14 years. And then he decides to go back to his homeland. They leave, and eventually, along the journey, he hears that Esau is riding up to them with 400 men. Jacob begins to worry. So, Jacob then sends his family ahead of him to safely cross a river, and just as Jacob is left alone, a guy, spears him to the ground, and they start wrestling all night long. It's like a WWE match with a bunch of RKOs, swanton bombs, steel chairs. Okay, maybe not with all that, but, point is they're wrestling all night. But eventually the daylight breaks, and the stranger is just like, "Dude, let me go, it's the morning." And then Jacob's like, "No, not until you give me my blessing." And the guy's like, "Oh, fine, what's your name?" And then Jacob just tells him his name. And then basically the guy tells Jacob, "Your name is no longer Jacob, it's Israel." And then he hits Israel on the joint of his thigh, thus making it... he has to walk with a limp for the rest of his life? But that was his blessing. So after a while, Esau catches up with Israel, and instead of killing him, as we all would think, Esau is actually really happy to see his brother, and then he hugs him, and they all chill out and get to know each other's families. So Jacob, Israel, whatever you want to call him, goes back home, and after some shenanigans, like 2 of his sons killing an entire city for revenge of their rape sister, and then finally he sees his dad one last time before he dies, and so Jacob lives with his family and is happily ever after. It's just perfect. Nothing bad ever happens again.